We'll go through the good examples first. So when I was here and I didn't have my sm- this kind of scanning Q code. I'm rubbish with tech. Anyway, I didn't have that, so uh, the, they waived it, and even though I didn't have this, I had a physical coupon, but they wanted it to be on the phone, so they accepted. So that was pretty good, and the woman was very nice, friendly, whatever. Very rare for normal people. But anyway, and then oh yeah, I over ordered too many because I thought you needed a long flue pipe for the stove, so I ordered way too many, and the person gave me money back and refunded, and just gave me the small bit that I needed. So that's very good, especially for capitalists, because 99% of the time capitalists just rip people off, behave like crooks. So that's very good. So these examples of good normal behaviour. I would say rare, but still good. It's worth mentioning. It's not fair to just mention the negative examples without mentioning the positive examples. So yeah, and then I was stuck with a sort of heavy duty, and I couldn't move it off the curb, and some normal person helped me. So there you go. There's examples there. So there you go. I think I'll do this one first, and then I'll move on to this one about the normal copying, which is pathological, but and the collapse of Western civilization too, which is not one thing. It, it's in motion. It's dynamic. It's a movement. It's not a static thing where it just happens. In a flash. It's in motion now. It's like a very slow motion fall. Um, yeah, so the corruption is preventing these things, and yes, to some extent the disability, um, but the corruption is preventing a lot of these things. But it, yeah, I know that's not an option because of my morality, and yeah, so never mind. Um, you need the HWARE points from the job and blah 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 and the status to, but you can't because corruption stops you, and then do you give up? That's not really you giving up; it's the corruption forcing the giving up because the corruption has the power. So it's not really any point, really, is there? Yeah, the corruption stop is preventing any of that from happening. So what are you going to do? I don't know. And the house thing. Corruption prevents that too. So the corruption prevents everything, and the going along with it helps the corruption. So the sheeple. Now you can call them normal people, sheeple, plebeians. It doesn't really matter because on the program. So on the program, really, you see, and then on Coriolanus as well with the Voldemort actor. Um, really the same kind of situation with the plebeians. They're almost biological robots or human robots. There's actually no mind. It's considered not allowed to say in the West that certain people don't have free will, but it's not looking like they do. So these common answers, no matter what kind of evil is occurring, everyone else is doing it, so it makes it okay. And maybe in their very warped mind, maybe it does. In their very warped version of reality. You know, yeah. So plebs, sheeple, they're not completely synonymous, but they're like 90% synonymous. So, um, they will ignore things into existence, or as the famous quote goes, all that is needed for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing, you know. But then if they do anything because the stupidity, the low IQ is so extreme, they might actually end up hurting themselves and other things more than if they did not. So it's a very complicated balancing act. You know, so there's the sheeple, and then in my country, then there's a lot of like, you know, like the car insurance. If someone hits a car, you know they've done something wrong, and they try and sue for whiplash and all that, and they're being corrupt. So it isn't just the POL, you know, the authorities that, you know, do the illegal, corrupt, what's the word, unconstitutional, illegal, corrupt behaviour. You know, it's also lots of uh, um, public, of the public. So like blue collar, not everyone, but there's certain, quite a lot of recurring examples. You know, certain workmen will do rip people off, do corruption. What do they call them? Cowboy builders. You know, lots of that going on now because of shortage of blue collar workers. So they'll do corruption, and then the people in the cars, you know, if they know they've done something wrong, they'll do the corruption and try and, you know, get compensation or whatever for the whiplash when they know it's corrupt and they know they're lying, you know. So every little helps, but in a negative way. You know, every little corruption helps to make the collapse of Western civilization. So it's not just POL; it's also, you know, all these um, little corruptions that, you know, because people think, well, I'm one person, it doesn't matter if I do the corruption. It's like, yeah, and if everyone thinks like that, then you have an entire corrupt society, which is kind of what we have now. So it's not just the, you know, the president of your country that's doing the corruption, or the, you know, or the king or the emperor, whatever the head figure is that the sheeple love to be told what to do. That's another very odd thing about them. They have no self-determination. They love to be told. It's a very self-masochistic sort of um, attribute to have. Very odd. Very odd. Yeah, but they just, yeah, they sort of human robots and don't seem to have their own mind. And if everyone else is doing it, or if the lead tells them, it doesn't matter what level of evil it is. It just doesn't matter. But anyway, there's pointless because it hasn't changed in 2,000 years. So it's probably, they're probably stuck. It's probably pathological. So I'm not really sure. Maybe the idea is to work around it rather than try and confront it head on. Because if you dance round it in a roundabout way, then you don't confront it directly, you know. Like martial arts technique, you don't confront strength head on, otherwise, you know, you circumvent, you go round it, you know, use technique to beat it, kind of idea. Use your brain to beat it, instead of confronting certain very powerful head on. But, yeah, so it's like, it's not just, you know, the authorities or the king or the emperor or whatever, it's actually like, 90 9.87% of the plebs are actually going along with it. So you'll find in lots of corrupt systems the immense public support for the corruption. Either it'll be support in the way of doing the OT, ostrich technique, where you just completely ignore it, or it'll be in the form of like actively voting for these corrupt people or whatever they do. You know, so you'll find when you look behind the scenes, it's not just, you know, a couple of people at the top. It's actually, you know, 90+% are being corrupt. You know. They don't care. Very, very low in conscientiousness and in IQ, so they don't actually. Maybe they don't realise because they're so daft. They don't actually even realise the level of damage they cause. No matter, no matter, because, you know, with all the North American lorry driver strike and all these things, and then again with the corruption, and you know that in that country that the sheeple that do the ostrich technique to go along with it without them. So, you know, when people want to point to, again, the authorities or the king or the leader or whatever, it's like, yes, that's all bad, but the sheeple are doing it. They might be doing it in a non-direct way, in a feminine way of sort of standing on the sidelines, indirectly supporting, but they're the same level of corruption, just in a different guise, you know, wearing a different costume, if you like. Same corruption. But it doesn't matter really, I suppose. Nothing you can do about it, is there? So I don't know. I suppose it just helps me have a bit of psychological therapy to talk about, because it drives you mad otherwise. But yeah, the solution to this is what, because it's like, the whole, the capitalistic banksters want to start World War III, and the sheeple with their ostrich technique are very happy to ignore that into existence by going along with it, and also voting for them as well, which is very odd. But they don't. They literally, the plebeians don't care. They got food and they got telly. They don't care, unless well, no, they don't. They don't ever care. 2,000 years, and we're talking probably aspects of ancient. Again, I'm not a PhD historian. This is just from amateur studies, from amateur reading up, and amateur, self-study work. But probably they had it in ancient Greece and in ancient Egypt too. You're having the sheeple, bit like children, I suppose. Maybe they need to be told what to do, or want. They definitely want to be told what to do. Do they need to be? I have no idea. Are they a glitch? Again, I don't know. What is this reality? Very, very good question. No one ever asks it. No one ever asks, where aren't you going? You'd have noticed that. That's interesting. Where? No one ever asks, where aren't you going? You see? Noticed that the other day. No one ever asks that question. But, yep. So yeah, if it hasn't changed in 2,000 years, I'm not really sure. Sheeple, plebeians, call them what you want. I'm not sure it changes. It's pathological. It's looking like it's pathological unless some form of miracle happens. But don't underestimate the extreme power of ostrich technique and low IQ, because it has unbelievably horrible consequences. But it's just me whinging, I suppose. Doesn't matter. None of it's going to solve anything. As I say, banksters want to start World War III, and the OT sheeple are very happy to ignore it into existence, as I keep saying. But then, as I say, maybe is that better, because if they actually did something because of the extreme low IQ, they might hurt themselves and everyone else. So it's hard to know. And then also, do you want them to take action when, again, there's extreme low IQ plus like 90% of the society is corrupt? It's like, do we just stay still? It's hard to know what to do, isn't it? There's always a pros and cons to every scenario, I suppose. I suppose in the theory world, it would be nice to think that if they hadn't done ostrich technique for so many decades, that we wouldn't be in this position. But it's hard to know. As I say, never underestimate the power of the extreme low IQ of sheeple. But they don't care. They don't care. Food and TV, or in this society, food and Circus Maximus, the chariot racing, and the Flavian Amphitheatre, or El Gem Arena in North Africa, better known as the Colosseum. Yeah, but the Circus Maximus was not a Colosseum. It was just chariot round a circuit, which was oval, I think. And yeah, like the film Ben-Hur, that kind of stuff. Which is, the Circus Maximus might be where we get electrical circuit word from. But anyway, very interesting. I know no one cares. No one cares about like interesting stuff. They care about like, what is it? Small talk. What's the word? What's the football score? What's the weather? What's the? I don't know. I really don't. I don't even care to know. I really don't. So it's, what's the word? Taken out of my hands. So it's like every day, living corrupt, can't get your own place, blah 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 blah. Is that narcissistic? Maybe it is. Is it? What's the word? Why accept this reality? There's a good question, isn't it? There's a really good question in Eastern philosophy. Why accept this reality? Like, why accept it? Doesn't make sense to me, you know. So yeah, what's this word? Making money because of the corruption, and it could collapse at any minute, and etc. It's like, is there a point? Camping would be a nice idea. Camping is probably the best thing with the low budget to try and somewhat just get some mental peace of mind, at least for, 5 minutes, metaphorical 5 minutes, just a couple of short while times of, getting off the system for a minute and just trying so that you're not going completely mad. But yeah, the corruption kind of takes everything away from you. But then it's, I suppose, the same with if it, before 2020, before that, if you're ND or autistic, it was the same. You couldn't do anything because the left-hander syndrome, everything's set up for the normal society, so it's not set up for you. So you can shove off. That's how it feels. But never mind. And what's the other thing? Oh yeah, Santander, the bank, are doing this autistic employment thing, but it might just be for university students. It might not be for like people that are that not non-student people that are not doing university. It might not count then. I emailed them, they didn't reply, but. And anyway, if they do want to make use of autistic creativity and talents, it's only so that they can get money off it. They don't give two craps. They just want to, what capitalists are like and what normal culture like. But very dry and need a drink, so I'll go in a minute. But do you know what? I just want to say, actually, really, really, super, really quickly, that like with Drew, I said not to do this, gave me a little push to resist. I was never going to do it anyway, but I don't know, you just get very nihilistic, don't you? And you think, what's the point anymore? But I don't know. So thank you for that kind words to resist. As I say, I'd never do it in real life anyway, but I don't know, when you go down the path of nihilism, it's not good. I don't know. Thanks for trying to help anyway, but yeah, because he also needs societal stability and like a secure structure, which obviously there isn't one now that Western civilization is in motion of collapsing, in movement of collapsing. So no idea. Don't have any answers. I mean, you can point the finger at people and say it's their fault, but it's like if someone's at such an extreme low end of IQ, then they don't even know what they've done. Can they actually be blamed for anything? There's a really good question. It's like blaming a 3-year-old for weeing on the carpet, or a puppy for weeing on the carpet. It's like, I'm not sure. I don't know if they can be held. It's like, I think you need a certain level of intelligence to be. Again, these are all just ponderings. I'm not no expert here, but interesting to ponder on. So, Flip, what, Patreon, yeah, got an account. How the fuck do I work it? No idea. Got like 3 or 4 videos. No idea how to operate this flipping thing. And then the banksters can just kill it if you say something against, gays, or even if by accident you say the wrong thing about gays or girls or any kind of minority, and they just, but minority doesn't count, autism doesn't count, but you've got to be liberal towards gays and towards girls and towards non-binary, and you've got to be liberal towards them, but you can pick on autism, that's okay, but whatever, I'm not going to get into it. I'll just say really quickly with Western nationalism that giving people a pass just because they're a Westerner, and there's some validity, like the honour culture and the metaphysical and the soul, and these are all good things, and the virtue and the valour, and it's all good, and it's all old school values, and it's traditional Western culture, it's TWC, it's good to have all these metaphysical values, but to give someone a pass just because they're a Westerner is disgusting, and that's the thing that I don't like about Western nationalism. Again, all the metaphysical qualities and the honour and the vanities are good, but they're giving some, trying to give everyone a pass just because they happen to be a Westerner. No, they have to have Western morality. What's the word? Western soul. Don't this movement where you just give some, everyone, all Westerns get past, despicable. It's like the what's the word? The cowboy builders will get a pass, and the people that did the claimed corrupt compensation on the car, knowing that they were being evil, they get a pass just because they're a Westerner. It's not, for me. It's way not acceptable. It's disgraceful. So I'm sorry to get annoyed, but it does annoy me, because you can't give someone a pass just you have to do more than just be a Westerner. You could be a Westerner and ignore, Rochdale, and have all your extensions and all your cars and all your houses, and just ignore it, and just be a complete greedy capitalistic materialist. Just because you have the nationality Westerner doesn't mean you have a Western. So it's not good enough. So that's what I don't like about it. The values I like, the TWC, traditional Western culture, and the old school Western values I like. The actual, just because someone born a Westerner, nationality wise, doesn't mean anything unless they do something, unless they have honour in their soul. Just having a, again, just being biologically born a Westerner and being the nationality of a Westerner, it doesn't mean anything by itself. You have to be honourable, and you have to have a Western soul, not just a Western body. But that's just quick on Western nationalism. I don't like them giving evil Westerners a pass. Yeah, good Westerns, yes. Evil, no. So that is the problem with that WN, Western nationalism. Giving evil Westerners a pass, it's not acceptable. Sorry. And also the Lord of the Rings stuff, the power corrupts. So if you made what's that National Party Irish guy? I can't remember his name. Anyway, if you made him the king, yes, it would be like more Sauron. And if you made what's the PA, Patriotic Alternative, whatever his leader, the leader of that, if you made him the king, he would be like Sauron. If you made me, probably I would, because power corrupts absolutely everyone, no matter how good their intentions. So everyone would end up like Sauron. So let's try and make it more horizontal and equal, and not, but again, then you've got your problem with your sheep on the extreme low IQ, and they just kind of want to be told what to do, and that is as much a problem as the corrupt leader is the sheep wanting to be told what to do. It would be lovely to live in a society where people had a brain and thought for themselves, but again, that requires intelligence, which I understand sheep and plebeians don't have. So I don't know. It's just getting psychological pressure built up, trying to release the pressure, because it's driving me mad. Corruption's driving me mad. I don't know about donations. I don't know about how to operate PAL Pay or type in code words constantly. I don't know about all these things. I have no clue. I'm stuck every day. The only thing is camping that can help for a short time. So I'm kind of getting sick of it, but what are you gonna do? Society set up for them, and it's funny. Society's set up for normal people, as you would say, normal privilege or whatever. It sounds liberal, and I don't really like liberalism, so I won't use that word. Although yes, it probably does exist. But every group has a bias towards their group. I suppose it's not just normal people, but it's weird how like all the normal language, all the society, all the jobs, the 9 to 5 is the mainstream stuff is set up for the mainstream left-brained in the box, small thinking kind of brain structure, and yet they still destroy their own society through the ostrich setting. It's very strange. Like it couldn't be simpler, and yet they still destroy their own society. That is very odd, but again, it's probably down to extreme low brain power. But it's just, I don't know. The banks can just kill your Patreon if they don't like you, and it's like, what's the point? What is the point? Stuck. Here's a word. I don't know if I've ever typed this word on this podcast, but in life, this is what I am right now. absolutely, completely and utterly. And then corruption is making it that way. Yes, the disability too. Yes, the disability as well is hard, but the capitalistic banks, the corruption is also doing it. But and the ostrich technique is doing it. So, is it permanent stuckness? I know sheep will never gonna stop going along with it.